I think in this live, I'm going to get a little more personal and talk about my relationship with the members of the group. So, Helen Williams, Tony's wife, she also actually functioned as the manager of the group, and she was her primary job, besides singing. She wasn't a good singer, a very good. She was a passable singer. You'll see that on some of these videos. If you go back to my playlist and see some of the videos of me with the Platters and Tony Williams, you'll see her, Helen. You'll see her. She's Tony's wife, and she took the place of Zola Taylor's part. And I'm the second tenor. So you know the classic lineup for the Platters would be Tony to the far right. Then next to him is Helen. Then I'm second tenor. I will be in the middle. And then the baritone, Ricky, and at the far end will be the bass singer. And we either have Bob River or George Reed. George Reed. We have two bass singers that we alternate. So it depends on where we're going and who's available. That's how that would work as far as the bass singers. So with that group now, everybody in the group who I just mentioned is at least 15 to 20 years older than me. So when I joined the group, I was 22, and I think the youngest person in the group was probably Ricky, and he was like 45. I think, yeah, around 45 when I joined the group. But there, he's like 20-something years older than me. So I didn't relate to them in terms of friendly. It was more of a working business kind of things, respect them as who they were, but I didn't like hang out with them. Matter of fact, there's some of the musicians that was in the group now, they were more closer to my age. The drummer, Joe Ham, he was like in his late 20s. Who else? The guitar player, Zuzu, he was in his he was closer to my age, the middle 20s, maybe a little bit older than me. And Hella's nephew, no, grandson, Hella's grandson, Troy, who was actually the same age as me. And he was more like a roadie, because we had a road manager, and who was basically, the road manager would basically cater to Tony and what the group needed. And so we had some helpers and roadies, and Helen made her grandson Troy with a roadie, so he would be traveling more, especially when we go overseas. He would be traveling with the group. So my relationship with the members was more of a just showtime, and if we going to dinner or something together, we eating dinner or something together, or going to the show, or hanging out in the dressing room before the show. But when we're not working and we're on the road, we're touring, but we're not working, they will be more stay to themselves in their rooms. And I'm the young kid, so I want to get out and explore. So I would go and get one of the musicians who are close to my age, and we would go out on a day off and depending on where we at. And during that time, we were traveling overseas a lot. So we would go to Asia, Europe, all the Caribbeans, all over the Caribbeans. And so I got a chance to travel and see a lot of the world. I got to see places that I never thought I would see, experiences that I would have never, ever, ever experienced if I wasn't a member of that group. So I am thankful that I was actually a member of the Platters for the opportunity to do that. I mean, those are opportunities that don't come by. You're lucky to get. And you know, it's funny thinking about it now, but this is the age that Tony Williams passed. He was actually 64 years old when he died. By that time he passed, he was in terrible health. He had a couple of strokes. He had a lot of conditions wrong, a lot of stuff wrong. And the voice was, no, it was, it was sad. And, you know, it makes me think, is there an age where you should stop performing and singing? Because in those last years, Tony should not have been performing. Actually, to be honest with you, I remember the first rehearsal I had with the Platters. And the first time I heard Tony's voice, I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. I said, that's Tony Williams? That's the guy who made those, who had the voice was already gone. This is in 1982. But he could muster it up every once in a while and get a pretty good performance. Not a great, not those performances he did back in the 50s. We're talking about the 80s and the early 90s. By 1990, it was embarrassing being on stage. And already by that time, I was looking for my way out. And I got, thank goodness, eventually, I got an opportunity. And it was because being with the Platters to get out the group and move on with my career. And it just so happens, it just coincided within months, Tony passing. Me leaving the group a couple of months, leaving the group a couple months later, Tony passed.